They laughed the moment she walked down the aisle. A woman in worn jeans, a faded jacket, and scuffed boots didn't look like someone who belonged in first class. Whispers trailed behind her, snickers hidden behind hands. She felt every stare like a weight pressing against her chest. But when she slid into her seat and adjusted her sleeve, the edge of an unmistakable tattoo caught the light. A sealed trident inked on her forearm. And that tattoo was about to change everything. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you were watching from. I love knowing who is listening. Her name was Claire. Years ago, she had worn the uniform proudly, though few on this flight would have guessed it. To them, she was just another passenger who looked out of place. She kept her head down, letting their judgment wash over her, but inside, she wrestled with a familiar ache, the cost of sacrifice. Because service had demanded everything, her strength, her family, and pieces of herself she'd never get back. The laughter didn't stop. A man across the aisle whispered to his companion, loud enough for her to hear, "Guess anyone can buy a ticket now." Another chuckled, shaking his head. Claire's hands tightened on the armrests. She had fought battles most of them couldn't imagine, yet here she felt invisible. Then came the voice, calm, steady, commanding. "Ma'am, it's an honor." She looked up. The pilot himself stood at the entrance to the cabin, pausing before takeoff to greet his passengers. His eyes had caught the tattoo she couldn't hide. His expression shifted instantly, from routine professionalism to deep respect. The cabin grew quiet. Passengers glanced between the pilot and the woman they had mocked only moments earlier. "Are you Team 2?" he asked softly, though his words carried across the silence. Claire nodded, unsure if her voice would hold steady. A murmur swept through the cabin. Some passengers leaned forward, others shifted uncomfortably in their seats. The ones who had laughed now stared at their laps, ashamed. The pilot straightened, then raised his hand in a crisp salute. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, "this woman has served in ways most of us will never understand. You are sitting beside a warrior." The plane seemed to freeze in time. Claire's chest tightened, tears threatening to rise as passengers slowly began to clap. First a few hesitant hands, then the sound swelled, rolling like thunder through the cabin. People stood, applauding, honoring her. Claire pressed her trembling hand against the tattoo, remembering fallen comrades, remembering nights under fire, remembering the promises she had kept even when it broke her. She hadn't wanted attention, but in that moment, she understood this wasn't tea about her pride. It was about their recognition of the sacrifice etched into her skin and soul. Still, a question lingered. Why had it taken a tattoo, a symbol, for them to see what she carried inside all along? The moral weight of the moment hung heavy. Respect shouldn't depend on appearances, she thought. And yet, it often did. When the applause finally quieted, the pilot placed a hand on her shoulder and said quietly, "Thank you for carrying what most of us couldn't." His words were simple, but they carried the weight of truth. The flight continued, but everything felt different. No one laughed now. Passengers glanced at Claire with quiet reverence, some offering soft smiles, others small nods of respect. She felt the weight of judgment lift, replaced by something she hadn't expected to find at 30,000 feet. Dignity restored, because kindness doesn't vanish. It waits, and it finds its way back. And as the engines roared and the clouds parted, Claire leaned back in her seat, the applause still echoing in her memory, knowing that for once, the world had seen her not as a stranger in the wrong place, but as someone who belonged. If this story moved you, share your thoughts below. And subscribe for more stories of courage, sacrifice, and the quiet heroes who remind us of what truly matters.